Breaking news: China has introduced new maritime patrol regulations, also known as China Coast Guard Order, to authorize its Coast Guard to detain foreign ships and individuals for up to 60 days if it suspects them of illegally entering what China considers to be its territorial waters. There are fears that the regulations, which took effect on June 15, could ignite a conflict with the Philippines in the South China Sea, SCS, where tensions over rival territorial claims are running high. Manila is striking a defiant tone. The Philippines' political and military leaders have been unequivocal in responding to both Order No. 3 and the June 17 confrontation. Speaker of the House of Representatives Martin Romualdez described China's unilateral actions as a blatant escalation of tensions. A spokesperson for the Philippine Coast Guard called the moves illegal tools of coercion to justify Beijing's imaginary 9-line. And General Romero Branmer Jr. of the Armed Forces of the Philippines implored his country's fishers to not be afraid to fish in the West Philippine Sea, where the second Tapas Shoal is located, adding that it is ours. Manila's partners and allies are on alert. On June 18, a U.S. State Department official reaffirmed Washington's commitment to defend the Philippines in line with the two countries' 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. Experts say other governments will be watching for indications of the strength of U.S. deterrence. Also on June 18, Canada issued a statement condemning China's recent actions near the second Tapas Shoal. While the statement did not specifically mention order, it denounced China's unilateral declaration of authority and violation of international law. Japan has also been closely monitoring events not only in the South China Sea, but near the Japanese-controlled Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea. Islands China also claims it refers to as the Diaoyu. On July 1, Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement referencing China's 2021 Coast Guard law and its problematic provisions in terms of consistency with international law. According to Japanese reporting, Chinese ships have been spotted sailing near these islands nearly every day for the past several months. The Philippines House Deputy Minority Leader Franz Castro called upon fellow members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, to push back against China's blatant disregard of Philippine sovereignty, but thus far, ASEAN members have mostly remained silent. Ambiguity raises the risk of miscalculation and misunderstanding. The wording of order is broad and vague. For example, it would apply in circumstances such as suspicion of illegally entering, exciting or staying in China's defined borders, or harming Chinese national security and public order, but does not specify what these terms mean in practice. Similarly, it fails to define the necessary coercive measures or other law enforcement actions China might take in enforcing the law. Some analysts suggest the ambiguity is intentional, presumably to give Beijing maneuverability in how it applies these new regulations. Moreover, as one observer notes, order does not distinguish between state-owned and commercial vessels, meaning foreign coast guards or naval vessels could be detained. On other media, Beijing and Manila have held talks to manage tensions over a South China Sea reef that has become the most dangerous flashpoint in the Indo-Pacific, and that the U.S. has warned is covered by its defense treaty with the Philippines. Chinese and Philippine diplomats met in Manila on Tuesday to discuss the situation at the second Tapas Shoal. In recent months, China's Coast Guard has used increasingly aggressive tactics to stop the Philippines from sending supplies to Marines stationed on a ship called the Sierra Madre that is marooned on the submerged reef. The Philippines said the two sides had made substantial progress towards managing the tensions, but that significant differences remained. It stressed that it would be relentless in protecting its maritime rights. The meeting came 2 weeks after China blocked a resupply mission on June 17 with unprecedented violence, including ramming and boarding Philippine boats and threatening Filipino sailors with knives and axes. The Philippine ambassador to the U.S. has warned that the dispute has the potential to spark a wider conflict. The second Thomas Shoal lies inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. China claims sovereignty over the reef, although its claim was rejected by an international tribunal in 2016. Manila grounded the ship on the submerged reef in 1999 to reinforce its claims to the area. Underscoring the tension, the U.S. has repeatedly warned China that its mutual defense treaty with the Philippines applies to the Sierra Madre. The situation is serious, said one U.S. official, but the reasonably positive readout from Manila about the talks is an indication that both sides are being inventive in trying to take the temperature down and to come to some sort of common set of facts that will allow the Philippines to resupply indefinitely. This is a good first step, but I don't think anyone thinks the job is complete, the official added. The Biden administration has been watching the situation closely, particularly because the Marines on the ship have not received any supplies in more than 3 weeks, meaning that Manila will have to attempt another supply mission very soon. A Philippine official said no members of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s National Security Council took part in the talks, unlike in previous rounds. They may have purposefully excluded the participation of security sector agencies to take the temperature down, the official said. China did not immediately release information on the meeting, the first since both sides met in Shanghai in January. The so-called bilateral consultation mechanism is generally held on an annual basis.